some of this data capture and validation that we were talking about. Now we've added some new functions into here. Now they have been in the software to some extent in the past. They were a little bit more clunky, and really I was speaking to the product manager very recently, and they are discussing, they can't promise anything, but what they really want this to end up as, and these are the building blocks. What I will show you in the next few minutes are the building blocks to this, is to hopefully go down the route of some sort of tablet data capture using the current Map Info and Discover technology, as you see out in the field for data capture. Now, as I say, these are just building blocks and steps in that direction. I can't promise anything in regards to dates or anything like that, but let's just say that that is on the agenda. See in the slide there some data entry tools, including style pick lists, setup table, and enter data. I'll have a little look at those in more detail in a second. I'll just jump out of this and go straight into the software actually, so you can see this. Okay, hopefully you can all see the screen and you haven't got too much of a delay between what you're seeing, what I'm seeing, and what you're seeing. Now you should be able to see an isogeology map on the screen here. This is an area in Australia. And if I go into the Discover drop-down menu, into the normal tools, you'll see that we've got a data entry option here. And in here we have those few different things. So the first things that I want to look at are the style pick lists. These essentially, going forward, are going to be the kind of de facto area where you chop and change styles, import different color styles throughout all of the different tools within Map Info and Discover. So for example, if you've set up a geology map like you have here, and you want to apply the same rock type colors to, for example, your downhole data on your cross sections or something in 3D or any other different types of data in there that requires the same colors within your project or the same patterns and styles. This is going to be the area going forward where you go to straight away to make sure that they all tie up and that you're using the same ones throughout the project. So let's expand that dialogue a little. Now you should be able to see in this drop down there are a number of predefined styles. If you look to the left hand side of that drop down, you'll see the symbols telling you what types of styles they are. So the first ones, the Australian Surface Geology codes, you can see that they're polygons, so that's going to be polygon objects with particular colors and styles. Then there's some NCOM line styles and there's some point styles. So you can generate or create your own individual styles for a number of different types of objects within Map Info, Professional, and Discover. So I'm just going to start off to give you an idea of how this actually works. I can click on the little green button and create my own new pick list from scratch if it's early stages on a job. I can also save that afterwards. More importantly, I can actually import a pick list. So if I just click on this button, you'll see that I can choose, if you're familiar with Discover, you'll probably use some of these in the past. I can choose something like color map, for example. If I've used a thematic map to colorize a map and now I want to apply those colors to some other objects or some new maps that I'm creating, I can use geostyles, Map Info Professional tables, and legend files, which may have been generated during the course of creating a drill hole project and specifying your trace shade colors and all the other different things that you might display. So all of that now can be imported back in. I'm just going to import one quickly here. It's going to be a Map Info. It's actually a color map table, so I'm going to click OK on that. And I have a Map Info table file that I created in color map earlier called Mount Isa Style. So I'll open that one. I can add a description to it if I want here. It's got a pick list name, Mount Isa Style. I'm just going to add that S to that. And it's polygon objects. As we can see, the map here is polygon objects. So I'll click OK. So that's automatically added it into the drop-down list we can see here. And now within here, we can see that all of the colors which are already in the existing map here have been ported into the pick list manager in here. So if I'm going to continue on doing digitizing into this map, and I need to continue working with this, or somebody else has got to work within the project but on some new maps in the same area, they want to use the same style, so you have consistency and a coherent set of colors between each of your different maps. So I'm going to apply the open table, this one here, to the isogeology map, using the map symbol because that's what is the description code in here. So let's say I go to layer control and make this map editable. So I'll make the isogeology layer editable and choose a polygon. And what I'm going to do is select one of the colors. If I need to put in a new boundary, select the color I want to use and I click apply. And the nice thing you'll know about this already is that it's not closing down. I don't have to close the dialog down after I selected something to then go and do my digitizing. I can actually just, for example, select in here, digitize in my new polygon, and it's automatically picked up the color. If I use the info button to browse the table and click on it, you can see it's added the map symbol type to that. So it's automatically attributing data to this. And just to kind of prove what that's doing, I'll try another one. And I'll go back down here and click apply. Go into the map window. I'm not changing anything. I'm just going to use a polygon again. Digitize in another object. And it's again picked up the colors. And if I use the I for info button on here again, it's added that information in there for me. I'll just close down my emails. And you can kind of see that this speeds up the process of obviously digitizing new maps, adding and attributing data. Now these are just building blocks. This tool is by no means finished at the moment. This is just the first kind of release of this. We do intend to change it as we go along. One of the other things you can also use this tool for is if you have a line work map that's been turned into polygons, but there's no colors in them. You could do a query, so you could select all of a certain particular geology code or description from that map. In this case, what I'm going to do is just select two. I could do an SQL query or use the Discover data utility select by group tool to pick out a particular numeric or character code. So I'm going to select two objects here. I can then choose what they should be from the pick list and click apply, and it applies those styles to those objects, and again it changes the attribute data in the browser as well. So I can think you can kind of see where we're planning to go with that tool in the future, and this is just a start. But if you can imagine having this on a tablet out in the field, these kind of input kind of formats would be, or input methods would be pretty nice tools. You can append existing pictures to that table. You can also rename the pick lists and delete them and all the things you'd expect to be able to do in here as well. So I'm going to close that down. We'll have a look at something else. Data entry tools. We've also got a setup table and an enter data table. Now this is really for attributing data as you create new maps, not necessarily with the geology that we've looked at, but it could be something like sample locations. For example, you're putting new samples in, you want a numeric ID to go in incrementally each time. You want company name, data sample, blah, blah, blah. You want various different things again. Now, this is a better way of doing it than we've had in the past. We've removed the old tools. We're trying to make this a little bit more user-friendly and something that can possibly be ported out into the field eventually. So, if you look in my map here, my layer control, and switch that off, I've got an isogeology map and I've got some samples. That location at the moment, the samples haven't been added into the map. That's what I want to do, but before I do that, I want to set up the table into which I'm going to enter that. So I go into Setup Digitizing Table. From all of the maps that are open in here at the moment, I choose the relevant one. So it's the samples map. I click open. You can access tables which aren't open by clicking on the open file here on the left. Click OK. And in here we can set up the variables that can be chosen for then entering data. So if I go to sample ID, if we want that to be an increment, we can just type in that we want it to be an increment of 1. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Company is going to be a default value. So in my case, I'm just going to put in PBS for Pitney Bowes software. Date, I can choose min or max date, or I can just choose today.